Welcome everybody, episode 28 of the Training121 PODCAST. We are without Kinger again.
Sure.
29.
29 would be a mad thing.
29. There you have it. Thanks, lads. Appreciate it. You're always a crutch to lean on. Similar to the last podcast, there is no Who's Your Man, but we have another man, Niall Rush, on the camera again to talk about another knick-knack of the week.
Yeah. Mike, not.
Mike.
So as I said on the last one I did, I have a box at home that's just full of absolutely random stuff that I've found interesting in my life. My dad was going when he...
No, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Grab the mic.
Sorry, like that.
We want them to hear you explain it really well.
My dad when he like finished work, his job in like May, he I just feel so unnatural the whole
Just hold it.
He was just like clearing all the stuff out of the house. Like he has a filing cabinet. He's like getting rid of all the stuff, and he's like, "Oh, look at this. Will I get rid of it?" It's the receipt from when he bought my Wii in 2007, which sounds so random, but look at this. So he bought it on the 25th of August, obviously when it came out, and this is the big thing at the time, being like, "Oh, the Wii's gonna be crazy and all." And he said he took it. There's another day here. He took it out on the 23rd of December, when obviously they're all sold out, and the thing didn't work. So he said he tells the story. He had to go up to Smith's in Swords, and he said it was like a war zone going back in, and there was no Wii's, and he somehow got like an exchange one off the shelf. Like there was just one left in the whole shop. When you used to have to go in and play, like, he said he was like in this, like, it was like, you know that movie, there's the dad and he's trying to get the doll. I think it's Schwartz.
Oh, the Green Mile.
No, so it's a Christmas movie, and he's just this special doll, and these blokes are fighting over it and all, but like he just tells the story. And I was real sick that year. I don't really get sick in general, even though you can hear me now, but so I had a really bad kidney infection at the time, so I'd say they're like, "Oh, imagine if the Wii's broken and all," and then trying to explain it to me. So I know, I just found it so funny that he had the receipt, and I was like, I'm going to keep that just because I like that story.
Such an accountant.
Yeah.
That's
the whole lot. It's all there. There was no losing it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
It's just random because I saw.
That's a good knick-knack. You have good ones, I have to say. That's a good one.
So.
Well done, Niall.
Our topic of discussion for this podcast will be much shorter than our previous ones. It is essentially coaches' misconceptions and players' misconceptions.
Football misconceptions.
Yeah, I would say football in general. I focus mine now primarily on coaches and players. From what I've seen over the last 12 years, and then just some other random things that have popped into my head, but I think we all have a couple, so it'll be relatively quick fire themed, unless it's something that requires debate, but more so
there's definitely going to be so many comments, I hope.
Can I
have
start?
Good ones.
Misconceptions?
Yeah. Everyone has one in their locker. Go on.
Because Brazil are playing and Finn's watching over there. Not using your studs to control the ball.
Okay, this is going to take 2 seconds.
Watch like any country that's better than us in football.
Or just watch anyone. Watch any top footballer. Job done.
That was worrying. A pro player in Ireland was told me that they shouldn't use their studs. That's what a manager told them, and a child. So this must be like commonly communicated across like all fathoms of football.
Coming from one of the technically worst countries in the world.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
The people who said it though, and who were shouting that at games, are the ones then who are doing futsal programs.
Daily, please.
And then sharing the thing of Marcelo taking the ball out of the sky with his studs, like.
Oh, what a joke! I'm sick of it. It's actually sickening.
With your back to goal, it's probably the best way to control the ball.
Yes,
I agree.
If it's on the ground, obviously.
Stop it and keep it under your control. Like if you use the inside of your foot, it's always away from you.
Yeah.
Like it's never stuck to your foot. If you're on your stud, you're literally on the ball. And irregardless of that, for manipulation of the football, the studs are the best thing to use.
And
it's quite simple.
Interesting one. Watch Brighton. The gaffer there uses his centre halves to do it to invite press. Because you think if a centre half stood and put his studs on it and freezes like for a sec, then people try press, and the idea is it invites pressure and then you can play through. So
that's very interesting.
That's an opposite. Now obviously maybe don't be doing stud touches if you're a goalkeeper and the ball's bouncing back to you, but
that's not what we're saying.
In general,
it is context dependent, but to say don't use that at all is absolute. That's a farce. How anyone has ever thought that's a good thing to say, I don't care if you hate me. It's nonsense.
Yeah, done.
No, it is nonsense.
It's simple. In and out.
And that is a misconception because that's been said to me a few times now, definitely.
Because some of these are going to be like funny where you're like, yeah.
It's something like my dad would have said, like when I was a kid, which was 25 years ago, 20 years ago.
Saw the stud or the ball roll under some shy fella's boot before. I said that was a no-go.
Wouldn't happen to me.
Nah, good player.
Yeah, use both players.
Anyway, nonsense. Let's go to the next one.
Do you want to go one?
I want to go one. Can I go one?
Yeah, of course you can.
Because I was thinking about this earlier. We obviously see a lot. People text us when they come in for sessions. We're a supplemental football coaching company. We work on a lot of basic things in football because that's what you should be doing the basics on repeat. Anyone who wants to come in to a T121 session and immediately comes in with just need to work on me finishing, nothing else, stop annoying me. Because it's silly stuff. I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't the case where everyone who came in who said it was like absolutely bang at it and that's actually all they needed to work on. The majority of players who do come in saying that, like,
are underage players.
They're underage players, number one. They think they don't need to work on anything else. Our pro players, we're in the middle of our off-season with all of our pros. All they do pretty much with us all day, every day, apart from maybe a centre forward who's refining their finishing or something like that because it's their bread and butter. Other than that, they are just doing basics all day, every day, just to keep sharp, keep the tools, improving, obviously, because you can never get too good at it. And we go into real detail with them, maybe about one or two moves, go-to moves that they need to have, or whatever the details of the topic is. But if you're coming in at between 6 to 17, let's say, and go, I don't need to work on anything that's bar me finishing, stop, because that is not true.
Or unless you score a hat-trick every game, but then you probably don't need
And
it.
even then, go up your level, test how you are technically.
Yeah.
Or shooting one-on-ones. I heard that a lot.
Yeah, shooting one-on-ones.
Doesn't exist.
Just do the basics first, please. If you cannot receive in your back foot, receive at the outside of your foot and receive at the inside of your foot and the studs consistently. If I give you the ball 5 times with a proper technique, you don't need to work on your finishing. Get that right first.
Yeah.
Easy as that.
Job done.
Job
man.
done.
Do you have one?
Yes. I'm going to go with a coaching misconception this time. Let the kids play.
Daly, you go off on this one. You love this one.
He's got a notebook.
Oh, here we
He's
go.
got an
We're in
A4
real
page.
trouble.
This is otherwise known as the discovery myth, and I've seen a great article on this from a coach educator guy. Basically, what it would mean, it would be people would say the game is the best teacher, which I guess as a statement is true because obviously you're going to play the game at the you wouldn't be tackles at the end of the day. That the game is what you play, but the idea that you can just throw kids into an environment, into a game, and just go play, and they're going to understand how to. Let's say it's an M11. How you want them to build out from the back, how you want them to play through the thirds, how you want them to create chances, how they should get ideas of that. And then the other side of the game, like, you can't just throw people out and just go, right, our whole session today is on defending, go play. Like, especially if you work with kids who are novices, because, and again, there's a great little saying here where, like, people think that's problem solving. The kids are just going to problem solve themselves. Name somebody who can problem solve something without knowledge about it. You can't. You're guessing, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I asked you to answer a question on a really high-end maths problem, you'd go, I don't know, and you'd guess something because you don't have the knowledge of that at that level. So you're just guessing. You're not actually problem-solving and kind of critical thinking. Basically, yeah, that's a big definition of guessing and critical thinking. That's all kids will do. What do you think about defending? This, maybe that, or attacking this, maybe, like, it's all guesswork. Whereas when you actually give somebody the knowledge, you basically are going to guide them towards where you want them to go in that sense, you know? And asking someone who's a novice, so unless it's literally small sort of games and like the game being a best teacher, actually probably works better for senior or expert players. Novices don't know where to pull the information from in a random game. They'll obviously get better technically and under pressure and all the other stuff, but they might not actually improve tactically, you know, that kind of way. So,
What would you say to coaches that would say that you're overcomplicating sessions and that they say let the kids play to actually enjoy the game more?
I think that should be part of your session, but you can't just do that for an hour. Doesn't make
agree.
sense.
Yeah, that's well said. I think when people say let the kids play, I think they live and die by the sword, and I can feel some people just like getting hair trigger crazy when they hear like let the kids play isn't a good statement. Like they're twitching. It's like you gotta let them, like, the Brazilian method, the road of Damien Duff and Robbie Keane. I've heard it 101 times.
They're long gone.
I mean, yeah, the time
like-
is that. I mean, yeah, there's sorry, Gary,
Yeah, go ahead.
There is room for both uncoached games, which I think most teams do that I've seen, uncoached for 20 minutes, but within topical structure for the remaining parts of the prior parts of the session.
But again, on any topic, like what you know or understand about a topic is what you're going to see in it. So if a kid doesn't know what they should be looking at, They're not going to see what you want them to see. And you're just wasting time with them guessing when you could give them the knowledge. So now we all have a baseline understanding. How do we solve this problem then within the kind of game? And that's kind of a big one I have here. People confuse critical thinking with discovery. You use critical thinking after you understand the concept.
Yes.
Like you become better equipped at it, and then that's when you start actually using it to problem solve, so to speak. And then this is actually the end of the article I read, where you'll actually notice your engagement in your session will improve with the players. So think if you're asking just a random group, what do you think of this, and they don't know, they're just going to give you a couple of guesses. They don't really care. When someone is asking you questions about something you know something about, it's obviously going to be a lot more interesting, and it becomes a discussion, and then that's actually how you improve things. So don't just go out and go play the game. You'll get better. Obviously, they'll get better in a certain amount, but you can guide what you want to work on and give them the knowledge, and then ask questions about how it could be applied. So I was guilty of this as a coach, where like the idea of guided discovery as they call it, which is still good, but the idea of just asking a player and then asking them a different question just so I get them to say the answer I want, and then going, right, grand, I've coached them, but it's not. I've just taught them a word or a concept.
Yeah.
But not, exactly, actually. And then knowing that doesn't actually help them. Well, all right, now I know when we're defending, I have to force them wide. But what do I do if there's, I don't know, a certain scenario where there's two players on this side and there's one or whatever? It might be a more specific scenario to what could happen in the game. It's like that's what you want to actually discuss and chat with them about. Give them the knowledge. Help them with that. No secret sauce.
Very well said.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Good clarification. You want to go with another one?
This is a bit of a coaching one.
Oh, yeah,
you need to have played professionally to be a good coach.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Famous coach called Arrigo Sacchi. Anyone who doesn't know, if you're young, you may Google him. Won many a Champions League and AC Milan. Has a famous saying, because he obviously didn't play at a high level. He was questioned on, how do you think you can coach a team like this when you never played professionally? He said, I never realised to become a jockey you needed to be a horse first.
Yeah.
Mourinho didn't play at a particular... Did Mourinho play professionally? No, I don't think he did. Klopp played at a decent level.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's people like Guardiola who were top players and Cruyff and the likes, but yeah, discuss that one.
Here's my synopsis. I think if you were to pull out, 'cause I was originally, when I was trying to be like, when I wanted to be a professional coach, I never didn't have the faith that I could have done it. But now when I look back, and if I was to pick out a random sample of 100 coaches that had professional experience and 100 coaches that didn't have experience at professional level, my bet would be that over long term, the coach who had professional experience would be more equipped to do better.
You believe that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I would.
I think
To
it
be
definitely
honest.
helps, but
Yeah.
it only helps if the professional experience is used. But sometimes you could get ex-players who come out and, in a way, because they've played the game more than we have, let's say professionally, they would be, how would you say this, dismissive of our thoughts, because like, well, you didn't play the game. It's like, oh yeah, but I've coached for 15 years more than you have. So, and if the game is coaching, when you've obviously finished, it's all about coaching. So
Yes.
there's like domain-specific experience.
Yeah.
So depending on how you use the playing experience, I think would be the main point.
Yeah.
We speak to professional footballers pretty much on a daily basis, fortunately, and a lot of those who do come into us are very switched on. But I've dealt with a lot of footballers, either on the pitch or off the pitch, whatever, and a lot of them just aren't present playing football. I'm a centre forward. I get in there, I do my job, score my goals. I don't know anything else about the game. I'm just focusing on that. That's it. Because that's their outcome every single week. Now, I'm not saying every player is like that, obviously, because a lot of good people or a lot of players are very knowledgeable about the game and want to be. But a lot of players just like a job. They just turn up, do their job, go home. That doesn't mean you're going to be a top coach, because you have to be taking in a crazy amount of information to really, really understand the game. I'm not telling them, like, when we work with pro players, we're not telling them how to do their job. We're just giving them maybe like tiny little nuances and stuff that they might pick up on. And again, a lot of the stuff they do on a daily basis is just basic repetition every single week. They do, depending on your level, you're going to get a lot of tactical knowledge and so on. But yeah, a lot of players I find that we work with, they're not present. They just play the game, go home. That's it. They don't take in any other information, or they don't even want it.
That's a great misconception, Gary. I had to think of it.
Back to it though. So it's, you need to have played professionally to be a good
No,
coach. I don't think it's a
definitely
prerequisite. I think it can help, obviously. If you have
Definitely
played
with
before.
dressing room stuff, and especially
Yeah.
if you're playing at a certain level or in a certain country, because you can't just say
Yeah.
professional football doesn't just go across the board. You play professional football in Germany compared to the US, it's going to be different.
Yeah, true.
And depending on club and level and the gaffers you might have worked under or the dressing rooms you might have been in. But you will have more definite experience. Obviously, that's probably the best way to describe it. It sounds a bit generic, but experience. You will have more experience in those environments, of course. But that doesn't mean you're just going to be a better coach.
God, man, that's such an interesting one. I could go on about that for hours, but I think I think as you lined it out there, then no, because I think the proof's in the pudding with some of the best managers
You
in the
don't
world
need
now.
to be, obviously. Does it help? Of course, you'll get a lot of benefits out of it, but it doesn't just solidify yourself as a top coach.
Depends
or
where the
manager.
other players are spinning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great one. I really like that one. That was very good. I've one. Players too small to play.
I was suspect of this when I was younger. I thought I was too small. Too many excuses. Nonsense. But it would have been nice to get a little bit of guidance for a smaller player on how to play in certain systems. Because we know a lot of smaller players now and we try to pass on like a bit of advice. There is no excuses though. There's no hiding. I don't care what height you are. Find a way to play. Find a way to get in amongst it. There is no hiding. Especially if you want to play top level football. Get on with it.
You
Get
need
on
to
with it. You need
compete.
to finally figure out a way to make it work. One of the main things I will say is learning how to protect the ball, which is very difficult to teach and it's also very difficult to understand. So that's why it is very difficult for a lot of players to maybe stand out in systems and stuff. But like, put yourself in an environment to learn it, or someone please who might be around that kid, or if you are that kid now listening to it, ask us. Obviously, you're listening to the podcast, you know who we are. Go talk to someone else or watch the likes of Hazard. Hazard's tiny, yeah. I always refer to him when I refer to protecting the ball. Now, he's a big man. He's in like good shape, or was in good shape. But I've never seen someone protect a football better than him. Obviously, he has it inherently. He has it, in his DNA. But there's no way he didn't work on that when he was younger, or at least try to understand it. Because there is no excuses. He draws the most fouls I've ever seen in my life. Him and Grealish is very good at it as well.
Yeah.
Just knowing where to put your body at the right times, and there's no excuses for getting pushed off the ball. You will find a way to make it work. Now, obviously, that's from a small perspective. That's what the first thing that comes to my mind is just getting bullied off the ball. You also need to like, if you're smaller and you don't earn your right to get on the ball as frequently, you're probably not going to be in as many tackles per se. That doesn't mean always, because a lot of smaller players are nippy, but no excuses. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, he's too small. I'm too small. I'm not doing this." Make it work. I had to play in like my third best position because I was too small. Be good there first, then worry about everything else. Please. That'd be.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a cut off where when you're really young, so when you're up till the age of 14, 15, where like physically you are just going to get pushed off the ball. 'Cause someone can be like 2 years old than you biologically, so to speak, even though you could be the same age chronologically. So at that point, you kind of just need to be patient and try to like learn things like that. And then once you get 16 plus, it needs to be, you just need to learn how to protect the ball better, because obviously sometimes you're still going to lose a shoulder charge or whatever. But again, if you're clever enough, you'll know how to win fouls in them scenarios, because people don't really maybe talk about this enough, but a lot of time a bigger player is going to foul a smaller player when they come into contact, because the smaller player can use the fact that, well, look at the size of him, and use their body in a certain way so they get a shoulder contact in the back or whatever it might be. So, yeah.
100%. There's probably a lot there that I probably will think about later on, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I could have said, but
I don't think players themselves should. I'm too small to play.
no, don't jump behind the excuse anyway.
No,
Don't jump behind the excuse. Some managers, and let's not be silly here as well, some managers won't play players because they're too small, but figure out a way to be better than. Like everyone just wants to immediately jump on the manager thing. I was suspect of this as well. It's not like I'm saying it from a perfect place. I was extremely suspect of this when I was smaller. Obviously we spoke about it before, but like everyone just immediately wants to hop in with some sort of excuse of I can't play in this position because I'm too small. Well, maybe now, yeah, but in 2 years' time, you can't just be like going through the motions in your second position or third position, or the 20 minutes you do get going through the motions. In those 20 minutes, like, be as good as you can. And while you have time, go learn. Try to learn some new things, especially about using your body. It's probably the best advice to give. But there is like 101 things that's how you can go through in there as well. But it's no excuse. No excuse. I'm sick of that.
I agree.
Neil Warnock said it well about footballers. It's everyone's fault, but their own. And
Who said
even
that?
Neil Warnock.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's fault, but their own.
Yeah.
Just take some responsibility. And sometimes, yes, things are going to go bad for you, and you're going to have a bit of bad luck, or things didn't fall the right way for you. But like, so what? Happens to us every single day. Happens to everyone every single day. Just because it happens in the beautiful game, which you think you're entitled to play.
Neil Warnock,
Nonsense.
what a man.
What a man. Old school. But,
You go? Or?
I only have one position.
Oh. You're going to be very disappointed when you try break into senior football. That's all I'd say. Let's say you're a striker. You're breaking into a team. The striker currently is scoring 20 goals a year. Why would anybody drop him?
It's pretty simple.
But how many players break in their secondary position? Like Declan Rice was a centre half. Breaks in, gets into West Ham. All right, need him in midfield, put him in midfield. Now he's a centre mid. It's like always like wasn't Trent a centre mid and a bit of a right foot?
Rio Ferdinand was a centre forward.
Yeah,
So
like
Patrice Evans was a centre forward.
I know some people would say that some countries are different in the way they kind of specialise in positions and all. But yeah, to me, you should at least play in two positions, and I would say in two units. So can play, let's say, in the back four, obviously unless you're a goalkeeper, back four, midfield, or midfield and front three. You know,
It's not a bad place to start. I don't think there's any one right, because some players are like, oh, he is just definitely left foot. Like there's no one else they can play. There is players like that, but for the vast majority of footballers or younger players, when you get to pro football or senior football, give yourself the best opportunity, which is if you can play in multiple positions. Because most people, whether we like it or not, we're not going to be the most talented player of the team who can just play in this one position, bang 20 goals in a year, or be a centre half and never get dribbled past. So you're probably going to have to be able to adapt and play 2 or 3 positions without a doubt. But that's for the vast majority. So that's why most people listening should be like, oh, okay, I should probably play more than one position, or try to, or at least understand it.
Yeah.
And the 2 units one, that's a good show actually.
Yeah, because that way you can plug gaps.
You can always be in the team.
There's a reason why players like John O'Shea and all have careers, because he can play 2 units.
100%. So he's a great example as well.
There's so many players like that who can
There
just.
is.
Comes to selection too, man. I remember we were having conversations at our clubs about signing players and stuff, and even with the DDSL in representative level, because you got the pick of like the whole league, you're picking players like your main unit, and then let's say you've got 2 spots for utility. Your 2 utility players are players who could win you games, or players that could do more than 2 tasks.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get into teams.
If you are left full, learn how to play left centre half. Telling you.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Fact.
100%.
Or if you're a left foot centre mid, I would say the same as well.
If you're left footed, get back to me.
It's interesting actually. You know, we talk about wingers, obviously can play both sides. Don't talk about it a lot with fullbacks, but why? Like I have a fullback team I work on who can play both sides, and it's such a great thing to have.
It's very funny to say that, because.
But like, what is the? Why do
you're
people
dead
not?
right. You're
remember David
absolutely
Santon
right.
used to play in Newcastle. He was
Who?
like a right
Sorry?
man. Was it Santon? David Santon?
Yes.
He was the
yes.
left forward, but he was right
Wearing
forward.
orange boots on FIFA.
Was he Italian?
Yeah.
He was Italian, was he, or Spanish?
I don't know where he was.
Brazilian, was he?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was right foot, played left foot.
Yeah.
And everyone
You should
like,
be able
"Ooh."
to.
Yeah.
You're dead right in saying that. I've never even considered that. But like, if I were to think now, imagine Trent playing left foot, you'd be like, ugh. Or Robinson playing right foot. Imagine a left footer playing right foot. Like,
Yeah.
Why? Makes no sense.
Makes perfect sense up high when you're playing wide, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
It makes no sense.
the
That is
player that
very
you're
strange.
referring to, who you coach, that changed how we played out from the back a few years ago in terms of making inside runs
Yeah.
and then
such a
breaking
thing now.
presses. Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's so silly.
it's probably because like when you're a defender, you need to be able to get the ball, turn and clip it, I suppose, if you're under pressure.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah, but you also, if you're playing
Yeah.
forward, you need to be able to cross up both sides if you're a winger,
Yeah. Like.
or hit a ball if you're on the end the end product.
Yeah.
Anyone who's playing at a good level should be able to, especially defenders, should be able to clip off both feet.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
I would agree. I'd say trying left foot would be deadly. Because he
Probably,
definitely can
yeah.
clip with his left foot. And imagine
And
him
also,
like
imagine the inside
selling,
diags.
cutting in.
Be ridiculous. Be
Be
ridiculous.
shooting,
Imagine
man.
the little outside rights as well down the channel. He'd be sick. He'd be sick. Can. Unbelievable. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's that. That's very interesting. I think. A
I
lot of
literally
people,
just thought there.
I never thought of that before.
So if
I
you play
didn't know
fullback,
that
learn how to play the other side. It's the
Defo,
same.
2
It's just the
positions.
other side.
Huge difference. come
Defo.
on.
Defo.
And then you can play both sides. Back
That's
four.
that's an extra. That's an extra 3 games a year for you.
If someone gets injured, you're still in the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're just constantly covered.
I've got one. And this only dawned to me when I seen the way the junior cert it currently operates. And Finn will correct me if I'm wrong here. So misconception: young players need to avoid failure, losing, and setbacks. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Finn, correct me if I'm wrong. Back when we done our junior cert, if you got below 40%, you got an F, so like a fail.
Yes.
Whereas now it is partially achieved.
I saw that.
Bronson.
Scandalous.
That's a real issue.
Why?
That's a societal issue.
Yeah.
We
like,
cannot be avoiding. Gary, shout out Gary Vee, man. He always speaks about losers getting like participant trophies. Why? Were you in the top 3? No, that doesn't mean you're bad. Doesn't mean you're terrible. Which you weren't near the top.
You just
That's
gotta
okay.
accept you're gonna lose.
Just accept it.
Sometimes.
It's absolutely fine. All this, we won't tell her this or won't tell him that because, bollocks. And you can cut that out if you need to. That's bollocks, lads.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Bollocks. And again, doesn't need to be as harsh as maybe we're coming across now. It's like, you're terrible. Just, you're not good at this. That's alright. But you're not good at it.
At the moment.
At the moment. But if you're, you're right in saying that. But, let's not start beating around the bush of everyone, because as soon as someone gets honest with you, you're going to react in one of 2 ways, and it's more than likely going to be a horrendous reaction if someone comes out with pure honesty towards you, even if it's from a good place. That's not a nice way to be growing up like that, thinking that everything you do, whether it's good or bad, it's it's
partially achieved. I couldn't get over that. I was like, that is such a terrible mindset to be in.
And then people were saying they didn't fail a subject.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
people, but then you're not accepted.
Partially achieved, and they go,
Yes.
happy I didn't fail any subject.
Schools fall very much into that, like, left-wing inclusive category. Inclusive's the wrong word.
No, that's not. It's just
inclusive, but no, it's
overprotective
it's just
of things.
mollycoddling.
Yeah.
Just
Inclusive is the wrong word.
Bull
That's a
rap
great
type
thing.
of thing.
What am I
Over.
trying to
It's
say?
just overprotective.
Overprotection.
Yeah.
Left-wing, yeah. Inclusive in the sense that, I don't mean inclusive in that regard. What I mean by inclusive is like you fail, but you didn't fail. You're still included in the side, the past. That's what I meant.
Yeah. It's just it's sillily overprotective. Making failure a negative word is obviously, it is something negative has happened, but having it like demonized, so to speak, that you can't say it is. I fail all the time. He fails. You fail. Finn fails. Niall doesn't fail, apparently. But yeah, like, your kid's gonna fail. You as a player are going to fail. Do whatever you need to do to cope with it. Everyone's different, but then like, just go again.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think if you look at anybody who you admire or who you think has achieved really good things in life, they have always, or I would bet my bottom dollar that they say failure is definitely one of the main reasons as to why they're now successful.
Yeah. And big thing with kids as well, with you see with parents, where they think they want their kid to go from under 6 football till they're under 19s and like never lose a game and never do this, and then they're going to be like 22, 23 and have a proper setback in their life, and they're going to capitulate.
And then the
Like-
identity, as we spoke about with Paddy in the last podcast, the identity to being a winner all the time.
Yeah.
You should strive to be a winner, but if you've never dealt with the other side of it, are you really a winner?
But
Not
what
really.
is a winner?
Yeah,
A
somebody
winner
who-
to me is somebody who never quits.
Never quits. Gets out of the shite. Gets out of the real tough times. Get out of it. Find a way to make it work. Always try. That's it. It's pretty
It's
simple.
okay to fail.
Yes, please.
It's not the end of the world.
I was listening to David Goggins' audiobook. He was talking about 100 soldiers. This concept of 100 soldiers. It's like 90 soldiers are, I don't want to botch exactly what he said, but he said like 90 soldiers are targets. So people who are going to just take bullets for you. Not in a good way. Like, and then you got 9 people who are soldiers. So 9 people who will lead the unit. And then you've got 1 person who's a warrior. And that singular warrior is somebody that understands failure. Which is very interesting.
That is interesting.
It's okay to fail.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I just have one more to be honest on this, and this kind of falls in the same line. So that the idea that development is a linear upward trajectory. There's that great picture, you know, the one where it's like success looks like this, and then it's obviously the squiggly one. So that's like, people just think you're always going to go up and up and up, but you're going to get injured.
Progress
you're
doesn't
going to lose
always
form.
mean positivity.
True.
So like, if you're making progress, you can have a terrible day at the office, but now you're dealing with a setback that you are definitely going to have to deal with again in some sort of career or life. So that is you're making some sort of progression, as long as it's not negatively constantly affecting your life. Like, outside failures is good and it's bad. It's bad in the moment, but it's great long term, and everyone needs it. But like, if it's something that's detrimentally affecting your life, then obviously cut it out. Like, that's not good. But like that, people start to associate now failure with oh, if I do something and I don't achieve it, or I don't have whatever your definition of success is, and it goes down, immediately quit because I shouldn't be feeling this feeling. That's terrible. That's such a terrible way to develop per se, and to make progress. So yeah, what you're saying is that it's not constantly just like
Never.
everything's going so good. Progress, you still be going up even if you're having failures, but it's not just linear. Like it's
Yeah.
them ones. That graphic's a good one.
Oh, you hitting me, Mike.
Any thoughts on that, G?
Yeah, it depends how you define progress, really. Because I think I know what graphic you're referring to there, Gary, 'cause we've shown that in dressing rooms before.
Yeah.
That one. And it makes sense. I think, yeah, even if you take something as simple as weight loss, that like there is some days, if you were to weigh yourself over 7 days, you will spike on some days for various other factors like water weight, for example, or like going to bed or stressed the night before, and you're still going to be up at. I think a good way to think of progression is to zoom out constantly and really get a bird's eye view of the progress, not just the microscopic version. Because
Day to day per se.
yeah, and I wouldn't say it's linear, but you definitely want progress trajecting upwards, depending on what the
Yeah.
outcome is.
Yeah.
But
I
understand that upwards could be 5 steps one day, 2 steps back the next day, 1 step up the next day. So it's a hard thing to stay positive in, though. That like, you know, because geez, if you have like a few bad weeks or a bad month or 2 bad months, you know, it's a very difficult game to play. And I've been there before. I'm actually there at the moment with a few things. And if I'm being honest with you, the last few weeks, not happy with myself with a few things that I would value. Doesn't still mean I'm not progressing, but I think catching yourself in that moment and then making your trajectory upwards again is important, but all a part of the process.
Do you have any other class ones?
No.
Yeah, no, do I?
I got one. Then we can call it a day.
Wrap it up. What score is that much? 4-0 Brazil. This coming like a month old as information goes. News bulletin.
We'll cut
A
that.
player. Players' misconceptions. I can only be spotted at Premier.
Oh, that's a good one.
Is the likelihood maybe higher? Maybe because the standard across the board, you're maybe going to have more passive heads there and stuff. But just a flat line? No way. Don't give me that. Nonsense. If you are the best at your level, you will move up.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Because
We
if
always
you
say it,
and if
level
you
always
think
find
you're
you.
not, if you think you're the best at your level and something's not happening, really look internally. Are you actually doing what you think you're doing at that level? Like if centre forward's very easy to quantify because it's by goals. Hard to quantify what a centre mid is doing. Your eyes won't lie to you, first of all. But I'm saying like by actual figures or stats. But if you're a centre forward and you think I'm the best centre forward in the league, and you've got 5 goals in a year, thinking, are you though? If you think you're better than that level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're playing at a really high level and you're scraping 5 goals, that could be unbelievable. That could be your success. But you'll be at your level then. Well, if you think I'm not getting spotted, I'm playing whatever B football, and you think I'm the best centre forward in this league, you've got 3 or 4 goals in a year, ask yourself, am I actually? Because that's how you move on the levels. In terms of getting spotted and stuff, again, if you're dominating every single week in, week out,
Yeah.
someone will give.
You'll go up a level, and then obviously
And then-
you'll
then
either
you'll
go
find
again or you'll stabilize, and then
Then
or
you
you
find out what the crack is.
yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, what I mean by spotted
Yeah, I
was...
was just about to say, what did you actually mean
Like
by spotted?
Spotted would be if you're playing DSL going to League of Ireland, or if you are going from League of Ireland to, I don't know, Academy Football in England.
Or senior football.
Technically it is your next level, I suppose, but why I said Premier was because I meant I used to have these players come into me when we were in the DSL, and so I was like, oh, I want to play Premier because I want to get in the shop market or the shop window. And then some of the best players that I know that we used to coach and all back in UCD came from Major, because I always found that players who Major, for those who don't know,
DSL.
is like the league under Premier in DSL level, and like those boys really understood grit, determination, and they had no airs or graces about them because they were Major players. They weren't getting all this like blasé shite about like, oh, he's in Premier, he's like, you know, let's say Kevin's, for example, he's a Kevin's Premier player.
Like some people
Gaffer
though
saying
with
this and
like they might play major football because of a travel reason. Their parents have 6 kids and they can only bring little Jimmy to the local club, which happens to be a major team. Doesn't mean you're a bad footballer.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Like you'll eventually, if you're a good enough player, like what you said at your level, you'll go up to the next level, which is Premier. Let's say in this case, if you're major, Premier, and then you'll see how you are there. And if you're good enough at that level, you'll go again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way. Like the cream always rises to the top, is the saying, and it is true.
Yeah. I've a very interesting theory on youth football. I think there's some players who are like top grade next level, and they're once in a generation. I find once every 10 years that are the best players in their league from when they're 6 years of age all the way till they get a pro contract. They are once in a lifetime, right? Like a Jack Byrne, for example, is a great example of that. He was the best player. Fuck me. This is before social media. We knew who Jack Byrne was. He was a year younger than us. He was that good, like when he was with Kevin's. And then that's the one category of player that makes it or gets spot, right? The other category that I have seen are the delayed gratifiers, the people who aren't the best players in their leagues until they hit 17, 18, when it really counts, when you're in and around senior environments. The players that make the jump from underage football to senior football at a young age, I find the success ratio is much higher there. So it's either one or two categories. You're either the best player in your country or the best player of your generation, per se, or you have delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're really late and you go when you're like a Jamie Vardy, which would be the third category, which is again a late, even later one.
I'm talking at the high level.
Yeah.
When
you get into
as
it.
Paddy said in the last podcast, population. Over the population, not the individual. You can see that. That's from what I've seen. That's without data or any of that in front of me. I have seen that consistently though for the last 13 years.
And the second of them two, so not your absolute world beater, is always just a good person.
I find that too, yeah.
Always a good guy, good girl, always so sound. Do you know what I mean? They just do their job, and are generally, if you were to talk in the street, no problem. Jamie McGrath's a great example. So probably the soundest guy you'll ever meet. Like, he's so normal, such a normal guy. It's obviously quality, but just like was so normal. He was in college with you lads, like just chilling, and now he's in international. Got man a match there, like not so long ago. You're like, what is going on there? Just for him being a good guy with a lot of talent, of course, and a lot of things go right for you, but them kind of late spurts or the ones who really have to dig in, they're always just good people. There's no choice. You can't be ignorant. Well, you've got to be ignorant when you play. Let's make that clear. But ignorant, like day to day, unless they are world beaters, and even then you get found out. How many players do we know like that get found out because eventually something doesn't click? There's no next stage for them, for whatever reason. But even them people, that like you've got to be a different level of class to get away with some antics. What we see obviously players doing, but you've got to be at that level. And let's be honest, how many people do you know at that level that we've ever seen? And then you have to compare Ireland, like you use Jack Byrne as an example as a midfielder. Like you go, he was our best going up, and then it's like, and then there's Kevin De Bruyne in Belgium. It's like I know there's slightly different age groups, but like that kind of that's what you're competing with. Though.
Once you leave Ireland,
Camavinga, he's French, playing for Real Madrid,
and he's 19.
Compete with him.
Bellingham now.
Jude Bellingham. Compete with Jude Bellingham. He's 19 years old. Compete with him.
Yeah.
That's what you got to be looking at yourself. At that level. Obviously, we're talking about a World Cup player here. But that's what I'm saying. And there is layers upon layers of that you really need to like dissect and go, am I actually as good as I think I am? There's players in the Leinster Senior League now thinking, I should be in the Premier League. Watch Jude Bellingham at 19 years old and think, should you be in there? Be honest with yourself.
Do the Premier Division or the Premier League? I'm
saying the Premier League, but that's what I'm saying at a high level.
Yeah.
That goes all the way down to, let's say, A football, B football, C football. It goes the whole way down. That level. It's just constantly getting better. How many pro players have we had in our door that might not have played anywhere near Premier League level? You're like, whoa, they are unbelievable.
Yeah.
But they're nowhere near them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spinning plates though.
Of course. Yeah. There's more than just like, oh, he's a good player, he's a bad player, he's a good person, he's a bad person. But a lot of it does come down to how good are you at football? And I don't just mean like, can you stanch it 10 times in a row? How good are you at football? And of course, things go with that and so on. It's not as flat line as that. But a lot of people just fancy themselves as a player. I'm a player. I've got a bit about me. Do you though? Do you really? It's like put you in a 5-side cage. Are you going to stand out? Realistically, majority, I would say no. But that's why there's so very few top footballers. Make that very clear.
Yeah.
Over long periods of time.
Yes.
We wrap it up.
Yeah. Short and sharp, simple. Nice. I want to hear other people's ones, to be honest with you. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some belters out there.
Yeah, misconceptions are a very interesting thing. If you have any and you think of them, say if you are a coach, you're a parent, you're a player, put them into any of the comment sections where you are listening or watching to clips and or the full length podcast. But as always, guys, you can leave anywhere up to a 5-star rating on Apple and on Spotify for this podcast. We always ask for honest reviews. We're not asking for 5 stars. It's anywhere up to 5 stars. If you can follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, it'll be much appreciated. It's definitely a zero cost way to help us if you do enjoy this content or enjoy any of the work that we do. Other than that, have a good day, morning, night, wherever you're listening.